you do that in your first delivery, or was someone looking for depressive symptoms?
You know, not really. We didn't have like a screening, and I feel like my doctor always hinted like, are you okay? But being a first-time mom, I didn't really know if I was okay. I didn't know if I could say anything. I didn't want to like jump right to medication, so I just kind of kept it to myself.
How did you know something had shifted, like in your mindset?
Oh, so I actually started having depression during my first pregnancy. I had something that not a lot of people want to talk about, and I was so embarrassed to tell anybody, but I experienced gender disappointment. And really what that is what it's called. I wanted to have a boy so bad first, but I was so sure in my mind that I was having a little girl that when I found out it was not a little girl, I was disappointed, and I just felt like I was letting my baby down because I wasn't connecting or something. But really, it's common and people have that, and it's okay to have that. So I did start having depression then, and then people were like, oh, it'll go away as soon as you have that baby, and they put him on your chest, like all those feelings are gonna go away. And I unfortunately didn't have all those feelings go away. They put my son on my chest, and instead of feeling this immeasurable amount of love, I felt this immeasurable amount of anxiety and depression. And what do I do now? Which I think probably a lot of moms feel
Absolutely.
that. You know, like,
and there's like
this
false narrative that's out there that every woman just feels euphoric and like she's like the Madonna sitting here with her baby Jesus. I mean, it's not necessarily always like that. And I think it's so important that women hear this. And that it's okay, because we feel what we feel, but completely capable of still loving and connecting with that baby. But it's okay to feel what we feel and examine that, and then let that feeling, drift away or get help with really examining that feeling and making sure that you have support. And I think that in the times that we've talked about it, that probably was the biggest thing, is that the support just was not there, because your husband's in the military, right? So I'm sure that when you're living in a whole different state, and he's got a really, he's busy a lot, and you're spending a lot of time alone, and you're trying to make new friends and see new people, and your family's hundreds of miles away, it can just get to be a little bit overwhelming.
Definitely. I did feel just so alone, and thank goodness for you too, because that was the period of time that I found it, and I met this wonderful community of women. But I actually did not seek help until my son was 13 months old. I realized that the crying that I was doing every day, or just the really, really negative self-talk, and even a short period of time where I wanted to walk away from everything, I just knew that that was not normal and it was not healthy. So when I finally went to the doctor and expressed to her what I was feeling, she said it was probably postpartum depression and anxiety. Even though my son was over a year old, I had been dealing with this for quite some time. We just discussed different options, and I was put on medication, and I just feel like it has helped so incredibly much this time around too.
When you got pregnant this time, what were your thoughts about the medication? Like, were you afraid?
I did have some fear, just because baby's inside you, and what you're putting in you is also going close to baby too. But I also knew that my mind needed to be healthy for my baby's mind to be healthy. So I just really focused on trying to take care of me and my emotional state, and I think in turn that's helped me be a calmer mama. And it's also been really great this time too, postpartum. So as last time I didn't have medicine afterwards, I was really concerned about, am I gonna have postpartum depression again? Because I did before. And so this time I've really like known what to look for, and I think that already being on the medication has helped me this time around.
Yeah. This time you were really vocal about asking questions. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
what do you think about this? Do you think this is okay? Do you think it's safe? And the answer to that question is yes, absolutely. We're either going to expose our baby to medication, or we're going to expose them to our anxious and depressed moods.
Mm-hmm.
And we have found that anxiety, depression actually can cause your hormonal system to be dysregulated, and it can lead to an increase in preterm labor. It can lead to low birth weight, and it can lead to increase in what is really a horrific outcome, which is maternal suicide. I was always very big in following the newest, latest, greatest treatment protocols. I got involved in our perinatal quality improvement collaborative here in Georgia. I started really looking at the data on depression and anxiety during pregnancy and after birth and in the postpartum period. We realized that one of the most common causes of death was actually suicide or substance use. And whenever we're using substances, we're treating something here or something here. It's us self-medicating to treat something that's going on. And so when I saw that data, I thought, oh my God, like I'm spending all my time on hypertensive treatment order sets. I need to be focusing on mental health. A medical complication is one thing, but we're not really assessing very often mood and how that mom is moving through the world and how she views the world around her. My thought pattern has changed to where I feel like that's the most important thing, because we can deal with diabetes, we can deal with high blood pressure, we can deal with all of that if we have a mama with a healthy mindset who can handle those things and who can navigate. I now treat it like it's the most important thing. We screen at the very first appointment, we screen at the 28-week appointment, we screen at the first appointment postpartum. I feel like we're screening all the time.
Yeah.
We screen in the hospital, and that's because things change and situations change. And when we're talking about family, we're talking about relationships too. There's changes in that situation. There are changes in financial situations. There are changes in living situations. And if you find that you're having anxious or depressed mood, or you have racing thoughts that kind of play in your head, that negative self-talk, then you need to speak up about that and ask for help. It's not about being crazy. Pregnancy sometimes, and especially postpartum, the change in hormones can really play with the chemicals in our brain, and it can really make it very difficult for us to keep our mood stable. Please, please, please seek some help. And so medication is one option, counseling is one option. I love to marry the two. And Caitlin went out and was very proactive and was like, I'm gonna get a counselor. Would you say that it's even made a bigger difference even after you started medication?
Yeah, I certainly do. I really feel like medication for me is not something that I want to do forever. I don't want that to define me or define how my mood is, but it has helped so much that as of right now, it's not something that I feel like I could just drop cold turkey, but I feel like that paired with counseling has just made such an impact in my life. And I really feel like with counseling, it's all about changing your mindset about things. And I feel like when you change your mind and your mind starts becoming healthier, your body starts really becoming healthier overall, and then you may not need that medication as much.
Absolutely. I usually start out with a 3 to 6 month supply, and if we're doing counseling and if we're working on our mindset and working on our coping skills, then we can start to wean down slowly, because this is not a medicine type that you would want to stop cold turkey. So we can kind of slowly wean that down, and I think that most women are going to do just fine, but women are twice as likely as men to deal with depression at some point in their life, and especially during the childbearing years, because a lot of times anxiety and depression symptoms really start up usually in the early 20s. We're really recognizing it around the time that women are getting pregnant and having their babies. So there is no shame in it. It is a medical diagnosis. If someone told you you had heart disease, you would take medication for it, right? Well, if you have mental illness, and you need medication, you should take it. Counseling also is a very big part of it. And sometimes counseling alone is enough. But if you need the medication, I think you should take it. And then if you get to a point where you feel like you don't need it, you can be weaned off and see how you do. So I really am a big proponent of mental wellness for women. You've had this just really great birth, it sounds like, and you've overcome a lot of challenges with depressed mood and anxious thoughts. And now you are home with your little boy and your little girl. What is that like?
So, to be honest, it is much easier than I expected. And I feel like that is the case because the biggest shock is going from no children to a child.
Right.
I feel like, because you don't know what to expect. And so from that experience, I felt like adding another was just adding another. And so really it's just about getting into a routine and making sure that my first child has felt just as loved and just as important, and really just trying to get as much sleep as we all can get.
Right.
But really it hasn't been
as hard as
bad.
Okay.
I was like so worried about it, but
what are some of the things
easier.
that you started doing to prepare before baby even came? Because your son is 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So what were you doing with him in order to prepare?
Yeah, so I really tried to talk to him about it a lot, and we even got my son his own little baby doll just to kind of like introduce him, like there's a baby coming, a real baby in mommy's tummy. And please know there was some pushback definitely when we brought her home. There was enough that I was actually starting to feel a little bit of that depression because he didn't want to talk to me. He didn't want anything to do with the baby. And for me personally, I feel like my faith really sought me through that, even more so than medication. That and medication together was just awesome. And I had to learn to surrender it. And once I surrendered what I was feeling and the whole situation, I knew that I couldn't fix it, but that God could.
Sometimes there are things beyond our control.
Definitely.
And we just have to hand them over.
Right.
Because we can't control anyone else's behavior, anyone else's feelings, anyone else's moods or attitudes.
Yeah.
We can only control what we do and how we respond. So if you feel like there's something outside of your control, if you're worried or anxious, I think the thing is to surrender.
Definitely. Cast your anxieties.
He will make things work for your good, and that's the promise that we have. I realize that everybody may not ascribe to a Christian faith, but whatever it is that you do for your spiritual wellness, you need to be doing plenty of that prior to and after your delivery. So if it's meditation, journaling, reading scripture, or even listening to positive affirmations or scripture, that is the way to go for sure.
I'm surrendered, I have to constantly surrender because I am one of those people that I really like to be in control. And I think that's a lot of where my anxiety comes from, is when things start feeling out of control, I start to lose it. Sometimes I start to lose my cool, and some days are going to be hard, and that's okay. But you, mama, are the expert. And it doesn't matter what anybody else's children are doing or what any other mama down the street is doing. You have to focus on you and your family, and everything will fall into place, trust me.
Right. I just so thank you, Caitlin, for being willing and open to tell your story. And I thought you'd be perfect because you're already a YouTuber and you're used to sharing things about your life and your personal life with people. Love Caitlin. We call her the sunshine. Like when she comes into our office, we say, "Here comes the sunshine." Attitude, a positive demeanor. She's always totally glam. It's so cute. She's like the quintessential Southern Belle all the time, and she's always sweet and just a wonderful person and a fantastic mama. And
it's such an honor to be here, and I'm just so thankful to be here as well. Thank you for having me.
All right, girl gang. If you have questions or comments for myself or for SimplyCaitlin, make sure you put those in the comment section below. Or if you maybe experienced some of the things that we talked about today, tell us about it below. We'd love to interact with you on this topic. Subscribe and share. We'll see you next time. Peace.